by See You Soon. They were the
Mm-hmm.
champions in the Myanmar qualifiers, and they had a really good run. When it came to LILGUN, though, as we are jumping into the draft, LILGUN placed a little bit lower in that scale, 13th to the 16th place, not having the easiest time, and got knocked out in the group phase. So maybe they've done a lot of practice since then, and this will be a little bit of a slight more challenge for Little Gun,
Mm-hmm.
as Burmese School is just a little bit higher on that totem pole, at least from recent achievements overall in the MLBB scene. But as we know now, jumping into the draft, a couple of bands are already happening right before our eyes. The R Lot for Team Little Gun, the Joy, and then also the CC.
Yeah, I have my little notebook here. Handy dandy notebook. Oh yeah, I can actually see it. Yeah, I do have it here, and I have a lot of notes from yesterday. I usually like, I'm such a huge nerd, like taking down all these notes about like the bands and the picks. And we did see it earlier about all these teams like Lil Gun and Burmese Schools, what they like to prioritize, and it's almost immediately like fast bands coming out from both sides. The Ruby is still open here. Matilda's also out. So will Lil Gun maybe try and take away one of the most picked heroes of Burmese Schools, which is the Martis? Or will they like to start it up, of course, with the classic Ruby that is currently the most picked and the most banned so far in the games of the future? Oh,
Oh, it
there you
looks like
go.
they are
There you
going to
go.
go on for the Ruby,
Yeah,
right on
it
the
is.
money, manifesting it into reality. That's going to
Mm-hmm.
provide them some great sustainability. I like the Ruby just because it's a flex pick, right? It can run in the XP lane, it can run in the roam position, but a quick counter response from Burmese Schools. They're going to go ahead and lock in something a little interesting, the Paquito, but they're going to pair that up with the Barats, which has been one of the more prominent junglers so far in the Game of Futures 2024. Able to sustain himself through a lot of damage. Now, Team Lil Gun had Barats up against RQ Hoshi, but Burmese Ghouls, this is going to be the first time of us actually seeing them locking the Barats this tournament. So I want to see how they kind of perform on it. I wonder if they're going to kind of pair it with the support. You are going to see that Mathilda out, but there is still a Rafaela on the table. We've seen it paired up with the Florian before. So maybe they run the support meta, or maybe they just trust his survivability.
They need someone to melt this Barats though, like in the late game. Like perhaps Lil Gun will go for a carry. I was thinking something along the lines of the Lilia that really gives a hard time. It has that mobility too. You can click that black shoes if you're almost down, right? Pretty much, it's a very mobile hero. You did talk about the supports that go really well with the Barretts. The Matilda's already out, so the next best one. The last time I actually seen this was in MPL Philippines back in season 10, 9 or 10. Like this was a very evident in the lineup, like the Barretts, Rafaela, Barretts, Matilda. It provides so much mobility that the Barretts does not have. I mean, when you play the Barretts, it's really slow, right? It's really slow. Then when you pair it up with a Rafaela, it just gives that mobility to the entire team. So Burmese Schools again has that early game advantage that you mentioned, but Lil Gun immediately has the answers to that. They pick up the Tirot here and the Valentina, which actually is a priority pay actually for most of the teams here in Games of the Future.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, is it too early? Because there's not really anything for the Valentina to really profit on right here, I guess. I mean, you don't really want Rafaela's stun. I mean, maybe the Deton is welcome, but I don't really see that being that much of a secret weapon up against Burmese School. So maybe being a little bit premature on the Valentina pick. Now, we did mention the supports. The Rafaela did get slotted in to keep that Barats alive. So they are going to go a little bit more for that Ube strat type of play style. Now, Dyroth has been slotted in. It's going to have some great early game damage in the XP lane. It can possibly burst down the Barats and break that armor if you can get close enough to do it without getting grabbed up by that Deton's welcome. So they do have early game damage checked in. I do like one thing about the Valentina, though. It's very hard to invade when there's a Valentina going up against you, because they can use the Terrify and pretty much CC you when you're trying to go for those orange and purple buffs, especially before that first neutral objective. But so far, I'm not really seeing anything that the Valentina is going to profit on in terms of ultimate. And I wonder if Burmese Schools is going to kind of play into that and make sure they pick their last two heroes that will give the Valentina a little bit of a harder time with that selection.
Yeah, definitely the mid laner has to be either like the usual counter I go with is the Valir and the Lilia, just so that it kind of
Good
renders
one.
the ultimate of the Valentina use it. The last one is a Nolan here. I'm actually wondering why they banned this out. Maybe like Burmese Schools could kind of flex it, but I know this is one of the most banned hero of Little Gun, but having the Barretts there, having the Paquito, you can kind of pretty much point out where these heroes are going to be going, right? But again, you can't count things out. Like yesterday in the game of Homeboys and AP Bren, they had a Barretts, they had someone also on the Guinevere, right? So it was like it was a crazy overall composition, and then they picked the Hellcurt for the last pick. So it was really confusing. We didn't know which hero was gonna go to which lane, but I think Burmese School's Little Gun rather, they're kind of canceling out all of the possibilities that Burmese School can bring out because, like what I said, this is a do or die match for both sides, and this is the time to bring everything out. They lock in the Harriet here too for Burmese Schools to have that kind of late game advantage too for their side.
The Harith is really interesting too. I'm wondering if they're just going to go ahead and slot that in the gold lane. Then majority of the time when we see a Harith, that's where it goes. Now, so far, from what I've seen from Burmese Schools, they picked up the Barats. Now, maybe they did this to take away Lilgun having the opportunity to use them because Lilgun did play the Barats before up against RQ Hoshi. And then they also banned the Martis out, which was the other jungler that they ran in game 2. So now we're going to have to see Team Lilgun run a jungler that we haven't seen so far in games of the future as they are getting ready for their last 2 picks. Now, the Herrick can definitely get up close and personal. It can give the Ruby a problem, the Dairoth. That's possibly why, because I see a strong frontline composition.
Wow.
And then another frontline on top of that is you're going to see the Yuzong slotted in alongside the Brody. So this is a heavy CC-oriented team. I mean, you have the Brody with the Corrosive Strike for the stun, the Ruby with so much CC, it's really hard to maintain. The Dairoth can rush in with the massive damage output, very strong frontline hero, especially in the early phase, and the Yuzong. But then that means that this is going to be a Dairoth in the jungle.
Yeah, not unless you want to do a Yuzong, right? Obviously, it's gonna be the Dairoth. It farms really fast, has insane burst damage, and can definitely go head to head with the Paquito and even the Barretts here. But what I'm really worried about here for Burmese Schools is that they have the Brody here. This was a lineup that I've seen in both AP Bren, even in the first game of S2G and Twisted Minds, is they have like this really solid like fighter frontline, and then you get the marksman to free hit everyone. It is just gonna be difficult, not unless you have someone to take down the back.
CT tournament going on, our qualifiers for MSC. But the question was asked to me, is it still meta? Does it still work in that gold lane? And we are definitely going to be finding that out as we are revving up inside of the virtual arena for the Game of Futures 2024. Seeing 2 amazing teams fight it out in Group Stage A. This is going to be the elimination match. Team Lilgun all the way out from Mongolia up against Burmese Schools from Myanmar.
Oh, it's the general on the Benedetta. So the last pick was actually kind of like a surprise pick that you would like to give your team, right? And now Little Gun and Burmese Schools, we can expect to see a lot of these early game exchanges, a lot of these early game fights, because it looks like both sides are so stacked with these fighters that can really go on an all-out brawl.
Yeah, and already seeing both teams. Heavy rotation, though, so far from Lilgun. You've seen that, like, trio core rotating around with massive damage. Zara is going to take down Nico. We were wondering how the Dairoth jungle was going to kind of play into this. And, I mean, we mentioned the early game damage he can provide, but that was just a full deletion over there, taking down Nico.
Sitch 2 in the middle. Wow, everybody's just sandwiching the side of Burmese Schools right now, making sure that all of their lanes are not farmed up. First turtle is going to be crucial, though. Saxas are going to be rotating towards this side, and definitely Delar is keeping Aizen in check here, making sure that he does not get to that level 4. That Black Dragon form is going to be really crucial. So at least Burmese Schools has that kind of advantage here. They're going to be rotating towards this XP. Aizen doesn't have that level 4 just yet. They might actually be setting up a play here.
And I would say Zara, Forbid, and Ethan are on a mission right now, right? 2 kills for Zara, 2 assists for Ethan and Forbid, just running and gunning it before that first turtle spawned in. And it's going to give them a massive advantage on these team engagements, as you are going to see that turtle spawn in, and Ethan will go ahead and wrap around, pull the aggro. If Team Lilgun can take this turtle, it's going to increase their lead even more. Burmese Schools definitely wants to contest this.
Oh man, a lot of the quantum charges too. I've actually just taken notice of the emblems here being picked up by LILGUN. That's it, all-out brawls. Here it comes. Saxa gonna go with the Detona's welcome.
And the Black Dragon drops down. Nico is going to take down Ethan. Gets a double with the heavy leg punch. Saxon will find Aizen. Delar will claim the turtle for the Burmese Schools. They got what they came for, and they got some more, as it is now 3-2 on the scoreboard, leading by 1.
Wow. You see how Burmese Schools kind of played that out so well, making sure that their XP lane stacked up.
Oh,
But here on the bottom side, though, Bebek's going to have that solo kill. And this is exactly why LILGUN actually took that time to think about it, right? It was an early pickup on the Harriet, and LILGUN's like, okay, we kind of need that marksman that can kind of keep up with that Harriet in the early game. Brody's that one marksman that can kind of defend itself in its lane. So with that solo kill, Burmese Schools just kind of have to assist Stitch here onto the bottom side, onto the gold lane here. But Dilar right now, a level ahead up against Aizen. 1,900 for him too. A whole lot more here than Aizen. So Burmese Schools, they have this XP lane kind of checked. But as for LILGUN, they might have to pull in their resources and maybe try and take down this gold lane.
and you mentioned the quantum charges, right? So they're gonna have a lot more mobility on this side gun, where Stitch went in for that impure rage. He was just trying to pull out some massive damage, but Bebex may fall right here. Does get away. Double on the offended for the two-man set. Stitch gets Bebex. Zara finds Blink to respond, but the fight is still on the way as Nico gets another, takes down Zara. Another CC from Ethan, though, trying to hold the team at bay. You are going to go ahead and see Saksa get a kill and take down Forbid. Now 6-4 for the Burmese Schools.
Well, this is good for Burmese Schools. Their jungler is farmed up. Earlier it was Zora actually getting in all or picking up all of the kills there for LILGUN, which could actually be a really big problem here for Burmese Schools once they go into the rotations. Delardo being very proactive here in his lane, just making sure that Burmese Schools has the vision right before they take in the turtle. He's being such a menace here to the side of LILGUN.
Ooh, and Delar with the electro final blow, and Nico with the heavy left punch is gonna find Aizen. Now 7-4 on the scoreboard and up by 1,000 gold for the side of the Burmese Schools.
Yeah, man, 7 kills for the side of Burmese Schools. I love how their XP lane is in check. Saksa as well with the Detona's welcome here. Turn's gonna be reset though.
It is gonna be reset, but still very low. Anybody's game. Looks like Saksa may be able to get it. He has the positioning and the retribution, and Team LILGUN unable to close the distance. Burmese Schools able to get the second turtle.
Yeah, up to 2,000 gold right now for Burmese Schools. They do so well by taking in these objectives, and you see how Delar is proactive all around the map. You know, the last time I've seen this guy was already so long, and I'm so happy to see him like shining here for the Burmese Schools in this game. So let's see. It's a crucial one for them, and they're creating pressure all throughout. As you can see, there's already been a lane switch here for their side. Actually, Nico going towards the top side, making sure that is checked. And for Burmese Schools, this is good. The Saksa's farmed up. One more kill will actually give him that killing spree. But it's just 5 minutes in, right? And this is standard for the lineup here of Burmese Schools. You got a lot of these fighters. I love how LILGUN is kind of trying to answer back here with those early game exchanges. But the thing is here that you kind of have to get your gold laners farm up once it reaches the mid to late game, so they can kind of dish out that damage once you finally get in the objectives here.
Speaking of damage, Nico having concrete in those gloves. Delar is going to take down Ethan in the mid lane. Saksa finds Zara. Now 9-4, and it keeps on climbing as Saksa takes down Forbid for a second kill. That is a double kill in the mid lane. Clean up on aisle 3, and down goes the tier 1 turret.
Wow. Burmese Schools is just on a rampage right now. They've been taking in kills after kills here for Saksa, especially, who's already standing at a 403. Level 10, 2 levels ahead up against Zora. And even here onto the XP lane, the Paquito actually
Nico
making that lane work too. Like Burmese Schools are already invaded here, the jungle of LILGUN. Map control is also towards their side. So the last turtle, even the Lord, can actually be picked up here by the Burmese Schools.
Yeah, they're started with a little bit of a snowball, and it's turned into an avalanche as they are battling out. Like to find a blow. Delar trying to get away, but caught in his tracks. Might not be able to escape. Zara with the side play will take him down. Detna's welcome is going to go in, connect onto Zara, but not able to stop him. Drops the oil, trying to do anything he can. Nico finds the marksman, though, will shut down Bebex. 12-5 lead, and now up by 6,000 gold. Turtle spawned in, and Saksa pulling the aggro.
Yeah, the turtle, last one. I think there's going to be no contest at all. You see how Burmese Schools got it contained there, even making sure that none of these players from LILGUN can actually come in. What I'm actually looking forward to is that I am offended pull here by Ethan, and then combine it here with the ultimate here of the Dyrot. Definitely going to be a very good combo. I've seen that several times yesterday. The pull in from the Ruby will be crucial here for LILGUN to actually make that game-changing play here up against Burmese Schools.
Is that Paquito or is that Manny Pacquiao out there the way Nico is dealing that damage. 6, 1, and 2 for the Burmese Ghouls so far, having
Mhm.
such a crucial role in today's game. Highest kills in the game, mind you, on top of that. Able to take the first turret of the game, able to help in the mid lane as well, and deal massive damage. Team LILGUN now on the back end, trying to find a way to turn this back around. They were in the lead slightly in the beginning, but then in the blink of an eye, the Burmese Ghouls got on fire.
Yeah, they were keeping up with the Burmese Ghouls in the early game. 60 seconds before our first Lord is up. This could actually be one of the things that Burmese Ghouls is eyeing right now. They can create more pressure up against at least the second tier turrets here of LILGUN. They're taking in all the resources too, so Sora hasn't been able to take much, right? Like Sock's already 2 levels in, has a whole lot more gold than him, and he's been getting that stacks up. As of the moment, right, that Barrett's has been so stacked up, getting in that full stacks. Once he gets into the clash, there's really nothing much the others can do. He can gap that Daytona's welcome too, so that's really why LILGUN hasn't been able to make in the plays that they want yet.
Yeah, and you are looking at those items on the board. Stitch up by 2,000 gold ahead of Bebex so far. He didn't have the easiest time in the early phase. Bebex was able to shut him down with that first kill, but now it's a different story with the rotations of the Burmese Ghouls, able to take all of the turtles so far, giving their team a massive XP boost, and then also claiming majority of the turrets. They're already down to their inhibitors on the top and bottom side, only holding on to the tier 2 in the mid lane, and the Lord is spawning in.
Yeah, they're gonna be trading the bottom turret for the Lord, but this is the best that LILGUN can actually do, right? They know that if this contest will be really hard, knowing that Stitch is way ahead here of up against Bebex. 1 level ahead is a big thing for the gold lane. So they're just gonna be taking in the tower, taking in the space. The Lar creating some space here, gets petrified, and is gonna be taken down here by LILGUN.
Yeah, another kill, but this time going to the side of Team LILGUN. They were able to take that turret, now down to the inhibitor for the Burmese Ghouls on the bot side. A decent trade, especially for that Lord going in there, but is it enough to keep them in this match? Oh my God, Nico! What is going on with this man today? I don't know if he did a little bit of a sparring session before this game started, but that damage output is insane.
A lot of warm-up. He definitely had a lot of warm-up from yesterday's games, right? Like, we've been keeping all that energy and wanting to put it all out here in today's games, and Burmese Ghouls are looking to take in game number 1 as of the moment, right? Sock's already charging in. At the same time, Burmese Ghouls, they're taking in as much turrets as they can, taking in the space, map control 10 minutes in. 33k gold lead for them, and LILGUN, it's a good thing though they actually took in some towers there. 2 towers on the bottom side to create the space, but this is not enough, right? They should at least maybe contest for the Lord. Shut down Saksa here is going to be one of the things that they need to consider here once it comes to the lead. Gold lead, rather.
And now seeing that Lord on the top side, down to their inhibitors for the side of Team LILGUN. Lord will fall. A little bit of I'm infinite catching Stitch out of position. Zara will get the kill. Nico will claim the inhibitor on the bottom side. Black Dragon from Aizen. Wrap it around. May want to go into the backline, but no. Hits a quick 180 and disengages.
Yeah, nice I am offended from Eden. We were looking at like maybe 3 or 2 tug-ins with that I am offended from Eden, but you know, that was big too. Like Stitch getting caught there. He popped in that Salmon Force, but wasn't really able to get out. The Purify was already used, so he didn't really have that to cancel it out too. So this is a pick-off that LILGUN's at least tried to get in. And now looking at the items that they've picked up here, a couple of Necklace Durances, and we see the Sea Halberds being picked up here because of the durability that the Burmese Ghouls has. The shields and even the heals coming out from the Rafaela is proving to be such a menace here for LILGUN's to deal with.
As we are jumping into the mid game as well, you are looking at Burmese Ghouls up by 6,000 gold. Still looking at Stitch trailing 2,000 over Bebex. Actually, no, 1,000 now. So Bebex is slowly starting to catch up, and that's what Team LILGUN is going to kind of want to bank on, right? Get Bebex online, get the core items he needs to burst down Saksa, possibly take down Stitch as well. But overall, Zara is really the one kind of keeping LILGUN in this game. 5, 3, and 1 and counting, but he can't do it all, especially running Dairoth in that jungle position. He can't really frontline anymore, or Burmese Ghouls will definitely focus him down and take him out, which would be a free neutral objective when these lords spawn in. So he is going to have to play a little bit safer now. It's really going to be on Ethan, right? Ethan needs to rush in, get a good I'm offended set, and then possibly get a counterplay on that against the side of Burmese Ghouls. But will they give them that opportunity?
Yeah, look, the zone in coming out from Nico there. He was able to zone out the Ethan before they try to come in and get that Lord. Ethan here has the flicker, can try to go in for that I am offended play. Lord is already at half HP here, but look at how Nico is keeping everyone at bay. And LILGUN also has to consider that they have the minions coming in here from Dilar, who has been clearing out the lane. And all around the map, Burmese Schools just got it all covered. They take in the second Lord of the game, and this is the Luminous Lord for the Burmese Schools.
I'm convinced Nico was in that bush just putting concrete in his gloves to get a one punch. Looking like Saitama out there, the way he's knocking down Team
LILGUN. I think he can be a
LILGUN.
one-punch man. I think he can be, right? The burst is already there. He picked up like the Hunter Strike and a couple of these physical penetration items that even like Ethan and Aizen will be forced to back away from the damage that the Paquito is actually dishing out. And now just that one tug from that I am offended. Forbid got that holding baptism, but it's not gonna be enough, right? You can stun, at least get a nice 3 stun. Lord is already here. Enhanced Lord for their side. The Lar goes in. Electo final blow to clear the waves just for Burmese Schools to actually try to take it in. But can they defend this one? They're doing this methodically by taking out all of the inhibitors here, which is really good. This leaves LILGUN's base in, but that's the tug we're looking for.
Yeah, 2-man set with the I'm offended. Big play. Blink finds Ethan. Stitch is going to take down Zara. Black Dragon from Aizen. Back to the base from some region. Is going to get that escape.
Oh no, Nico.
Right in time. Nico will find Bebex. So furious dive in from Aizen. Has the shot Esses. Can't sustain himself. D-Lord.
It's only for mid.
Assassination decapitates him. Base Crystal. 50%. Forbid by himself. Elect the final blow. Bully and Forbid back to the base, and down goes the Crystal. Is, ladies and gentlemen, Burmese Schools all the way from Myanmar able to shut down Team LILGUN Game 1 in Group A, Stage 2 today for the Game of Futures 2024.
Actually so clean here. They've been you actually see it in the highlights just as we were talking about it. I do like the early game here of LILGUNs. They actually did so well in the first 2 minutes, and by the time it actually hit the turtle here, this is one of the things that actually changed here. Elective File Blow coming in by Dilar was actually a very good way to zone out the members of LILGUN. It also had that damage, so Saksa could actually push forward, click that retribution, and take in that turtle for their side. This was one of the kills, the tugs here by Ethan, that was really so good. But fortunately enough for their side, this was actually an even trade out for both ends, but it was still Burmese Schools that came up on top, despite the fact that Ida was actually able to get in the setup. This is what you get when you have such a mobile setup with the Rafaela. You can kind of pretty much evade all of these clashes, all of these tug-ins coming in from the side of LILGUN.
Yeah, and D-Lar just performing really well. Look at the Electo final blow. He was all over the map today, making the entire team chase him. And then we see that heavy engagement inside of the base. A final stand. Blink getting a kill. Stitch taking down Zara. Aizen with the quick escape back to the base. One of the great things that the Black Dragon kind of provides. But unfortunately, they were not able to find the victory they were looking for. And we are going to be looking at Mr. MVP, Saksa.
Yeah, 407. Aizen mentioned that they really needed to shut down Saksa there because he is the one who had the most gold. And speaking of the gold, right, he had 736 per minute. So he was just farming up all around the map. And we can kind of say that this is very evident too because of the way that Nico and Dilar was actually rotating towards around the map, right? Like making sure that the lanes are cleared out, making sure that, you know, whatever LILGUN will try to pull up against Saksa, like maybe try to bully him in the jungle, it won't happen. And Saksa was able to do that, getting in a very early like anti-cuirass and the Athena shield, which kind of made him really, really tanky in all of these clashes. All he needed to do was like jump in, get that Daytona's welcome, and no one can actually take him down there. If you think about it, the only one could actually burst him down was the Brody, right? Like once it had the items, but it's so tanky. Their mid laner was a Valentina, not really the mage that can burst down these tanky type of heroes.
You know, and it's funny. I honestly thought it would have been Nico. I thought Nico would have got this with the Paquito, but they do give it to Sox. I mean, he did have some flawless execution. Like you said, he didn't fall that entire game. But Nico, man, that was just something else. Mm-hmm. I got to also give him credit because I feel like this is just not painting the full picture of what he provided for the team. But you are going to go ahead and see the stats on the board, though. 7, 1, and 3. He did take one death behind. So, yeah, it was just a little bit more flawless execution in the role of the jungle for Sox that pulled off that MVP. A really great game so far for the Burmese Schools. But now, BK, I got a question for you. Do you think Burmese Schools can get the 2-0
yeah, that's a little
sweep?
pause, right? I think, with
Or
this kind of lineup though, like definitely the Burmese schools can make it, right? Like the aggression was scary. Little Gun can also like kind of take this next game too with the way that they played it in the first few minutes of the game. The thing that they really missed out here, or they kind of lacked here in this game, was the rotation that Nico and Delar did. Like we can't count out what these two players have been doing in this entire game. They've been such a menace to Lil Gun. They've been kind of tracking in Aizen, Ethan, and even locating where Zora is. That's really the reason why like they couldn't really get in the farm in the jungle side of Lil Gun. And Saksa was just able to take in all the resources, right? All the turtle actually went to the side of Burmese schools, which made it really hard for the heroes here, Lil Gun, to scale up. Like Bebex here really needs the items to be able to farm up, to be able to dish out the damage. But Burmese